Talking about Adam Frisch. He is running for the House seat in Colorado's 3rd Congressional District. Great to have you here. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. You know, big night indeed. You know, you have your own race to win in Colorado this November, as we mentioned. So as a Democrat, do you feel like you can win if President Biden is at the top of the ticket on Election Day?
Yeah, good afternoon and happy 4th of July. Proud day tomorrow to celebrate our great country. Yeah, listen, we, whether who is ever on the ballot on the Democratic side or the Republican side, we feel very proud to be in a strong situation. We've earned the trust of a lot of Democrats, a lot of independents, and a lot of Republicans last time, and we're going to do it again. We've been focused on this pro-normal party coalition after 57,000 miles. And I can tell you, driving around, I don't spend a lot of time talking to the Democrats back in D.C. I spend a lot of time talking to Democrats, independents, and Republicans against this huge district we're running alongside. And so we're going to be working very, very hard. And listening to them share their concerns over the past couple of weeks. That's when I came out with the Washington Post editorial on my own release yesterday, asking, with all due respect to the president, that he should step down and allow a new generation of leaders to take over.
Yeah, I was reading through that. You know, the White House reaffirmed today that President Biden is staying in the race. That much was clear in that update today. Is there anything that he can do to change your mind at this point?
No, you know, sadly, we've seen this kind of happen. You know, I think 5 months out and 6 or 7 days after a horrendous showing in a debate, I think, with all due respect to Biden, President Biden, the cake is pretty baked. I think it's on a one-way slope and it's not going in the right direction. I'm not sure what type of news is going to come out that gives people confidence that he is the person to lead our country for the next 4 years. And I don't say that with joy. I just say that with facts. And I think I'm backed up by a lot of Democrats and independents and some Republicans I spoke with as well, driving around Southwest Colorado on our 57,000-mile district. I'm not here to play political punditry. I can just tell you, the boots on the ground, the people, they're very, very concerned, and they want to see a new generation of leadership.
You know, that's what I was going to say. You did spend a lot of time speaking to people across your state, so that brings that right to the forefront, Adam. What do you think is a fair way to determine the nominee of your party if President Biden was to heed your call to step aside? How does that go down?
You know, I appreciate there's a lot of parlor games out there with all of you smart DC insiders. I'm not privy to those conversations. I just know, in hindsight, yes, a year and a half ago, there should have been an open and competitive Democratic primary. That's something I asked for back then, and I stand by it now. You know, is there a way to have these 10 or 15 people that everyone keeps on talking about come up with some type of way between now and the convention to work something out? But it does require the president to do a George Washington and stand up and put his country before his own personal ambitions. And I think if he and his 13 advisors, whoever they are, actually spend time talking outside of that small circle of people, they would realize there's a variety of people, including a lot of hardcore Democrats, that just don't see the path forward for him to win, but more importantly, for him to lead this country. And there's deep benches on both sides. I would love both conventions to actually see a different person nominated, but obviously that's probably not going to happen in one of these cases.
Right. Okay. So you've called on President Biden to withdraw. We'll ask you the question we ask everyone: who should take his place?
Again, I would love to have as many voters make that case and go on from there. I am not a delegate. I'm not a super delegate. I don't know what either of those things actually are. I don't know how the rules are written. All I know is that the groundswell I'm hearing from people that I've been talking to for the last 2.5 years do not like the situation they're in. And they think, for the sake of the country, for the sake of getting rid of this pox on both houses, you know, for the longest time, the Republicans were getting grief, rightly so, for saying things privately differently than what they're saying publicly about their presidential candidate. And now you basically have a bipartisan effort, if you will, not in a good way, of the Democrats as well, saying things privately differently than they are saying things publicly. And when you're in that situation, you are never in a good situation.
Right. Well, it's difficult all the way around. So you're not going to give us a name. Maybe we'll see it in another op-ed.
No, I'm not going to. I will promise you, no matter what happens, I'm not going to be picking winners and losers in this whole conversation. I'm not sure how much sway I have in that conversation. I remain focused on trying to figure out how to secure the border, reduce the cost of living, and making sure that people can prosper in Western and Southern Colorado.
All right, Adam Frisch, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate it.
Yep. Yep. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.